Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about the vintage Parkers that I really like and how I got into them. And I don't want to dawdle too long, so let's already switch the shot and go look at some vintage Parkers. Okay, here we are with the vintage Parkers. Now, some of you might have seen some of these pens already. I've shown the Parker 50 before. I don't know if I've shown the other ones before, but this is basically my vintage Parker collection, and some are older than others, and I don't know like specific ages of them, but I just know they are old Parkers that aren't made anymore and what people would consider vintage. Not on the screen is one of the nicest vintage Parkers that I have. I'll show you at the end. I'm going to be a little bit of a tease, but it has a beautiful finish. So I think we can start with the Parker 45, which is, I think, one of the most well-known of the vintage Parkers. I have two right here, and they are very nice. They come either with steel nibs or 14K nibs, and it's quite hard to discern which you have, because it means you have to, let's focus, you have to remove this hood from the section and then take out the nib, and I did it. It works, but it's a little fiddly. This one is a 14K nib, and I believe the other one, if my memory serves me well, is too. And they're very nice. I got this one, this black and silver or flighterish type, for a bargain because there's initials on here. It says MR. And I'm lucky enough to have these two letters in my first name, so I don't mind. So yeah. I really like this color of the 45. It's like a teal. You don't see this one very often, so it's very cool to have this one. I bought all my Parkers on eBay except for the last one. I like to troll eBay for cheap vintage pens. So these two I've already shown you. These are Parker 50s or 50 Falcons, and they have the beautiful integrated nibs. And okay, the reason I fell in love with Parker as vintage pens is the weird nibbies they have. So this is an integrated nib, which is really cool, and then they have the hooded nib on the 45, and it's just so funny and so different to me, and they make me happy because of the integrated nibs. So this is a follow-up of the Parker T1. The T1 was very brittle and the nib broke off, so they decided to make a new integrated nib pen, and that was the 50. These can still be found online. These are not super cheap. I once let one go for like 35 pounds, which is like $40, because I was like, I don't need any more pens, and then I paid like 80 for this one. So if you see bargain, go for it. The Parker 25 is not, I think, a pen that a lot of people will love because it's so industrial looking. I think it's from the 80s. But of course it has a funky nibby. It's tiny. And I love the blue grip. And they come in different colors. They come in green, I believe in red. There's a white version and an all black version of this pen, but those are very rare. And this is one of the Parkers I have not actually gotten to write very well. I think I need an ultrasonic cleaner for this one to actually have it work properly. But I do not have one. As you can see, so the 45 has the arrow clip. The 50 has the arrow clip, although it's a little different from the 45. And then this has a really different type of clip. It does have like a Parker logo here, and it says Parker here, but this is obviously more modern offering, but still, I love that funky nib. It's cool. Then we have a Parker 75. This is not my favorite finish of the Parker 75, but it was a bargain and I could not help myself, so I jumped for it because this was sorely missing from my collection. And this is a gold nib, This is a more standard type nib, but it still looks a little different than a regular nib because of the shape of it. This is a 14K nib. Yeah, not super exciting, but just a nice writer. And it's one that I don't hesitate to bring with me. Cap is a little loose on this pen. I don't know if you can see it. There's like that. But yeah, they're old pens. Like, I can't get mad at that. Gold finial, gold details. Arrow clip again. Let's move on to this one first. They're not in order. This is one of the first Parkers I got. This is a Parker Slim Fold. And I got this because I was looking for my first gold nib pen. And I was like, what can I buy that's cute, it has a gold nib, it's not too expensive. And I was like, oh, maybe I can get a vintage pen. And I did. It was not very expensive. And has the tiniest baby nib. Look at that. So cute. It's a 14K nib. Slim Fold is a very small pen. It's very light, but it works well. This has a sack filler. You cannot take this out. So mine is very pliable, which makes me a lucky girl, because if you have a hardened sack, you need to have it replaced. But I got it with a pliable sack. I've written with it a few times, not as much as I should, because it is very, very nice. Let's compare the nib to the 75 nib. But it is small and it doesn't really seem like a daily writer to me. But it's very cute. And of course the 14K nib for like 20 pounds. That's pretty good. Okay, so I told you I have the Wildcard that I'm not showing you yet because I'm being a tease. But the Wildcard is not my favorite Parker. My favorite Parker is the 65. And I got it in this very gaudy striped gold finish. You either think this is gaudy or this is classy. I never know what side of the fence I'm on. I know which side of the fence I'm on when I take off the cap. This is 65 in a very, very nice finish. I believe this is like actual gold or it's plated in gold. I don't particularly know. I don't care. But I fell in love with it. It was a bargain. And the 65 has my favorite Parker nib. So if you look at it like this looks like a classy pen. This is a fancy classy pen to me. And I love that nib. It's like half hooded, half integrated. And has that flat top section, which is really amazing. And this is one of the loveliest writers that I have. It is a really, really good nib. One of the things I experienced with this pen, which is funny, if you see the feed, there's no like clear difference between the feed and the section. So sometimes when I'm writing with this, I grab the feed. This is the feed. And that makes for very, very inky fingers. My nails look atrocious right now. Please don't pay attention to those. But yeah, it is a lovely, lovely nib. It's my favorite. It's one of my most special ones. And then we get to the Wildcard. And that is such a tease. That is a dual fold junior. This one I got at a pen seller that sells vintage pens. It was Redeem Pens. He fixes up vintage pens, he grinds pens. He has a great collection generally. And this is a striped version, a blue striped version, vertical stripe. Not like the regular Vax. But, oh, look at that, guys. It's so gorgeous. That stripe. So this is a very pretty, it's not a big pen, it's a junior, it's a small pen. It does not have the arrow clip, it has Parker on there. And this pen has a uncommonly flexible nib. I did not clean it very well. apparently that's fine. Yeah, it's a very, very flexible nib, and it's just amazing. It's a tiny nib, but it works really, really well. And the finish is just lovely. Like, you can stare at that all day. This is a button filler. You push it and then it fills. It lines up, look, so good. Yeah. And I know I'm giving you short clips of these pens right now, but of these two pens, I am definitely gonna film a more in-depth video. So if you're interested in any of the other pens and you want to see a more detailed review or overview, please let me know, because I can do that. But these two are my favorites, and I'm going to definitely shoot a more up-close video about them, and like a review with a writing sample. And especially this, the writing sample should be great because it's so flexible. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Let's put the faves next to each other. I hope you enjoyed, and that this was maybe not so informative, but it gave you a look into the world of vintage Parker pens. I'll see you next time, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Bye bye.